Tefan did not sit. He stood where he had been left, near the edge of the receiving room, weight balanced evenly across both feet. The stone beneath him was cool, clean, and unfamiliar. The room smelled faintly of oil and citrus polish, order distilled into scent. He listened. Houses spoke if one knew how to hear them. This one did not creak or complain. Footsteps were measured, voices were low. Doors closed softly, as if raised voices were an embarrassment best avoided. This was not a place built to intimidate. That made it dangerous. Tefan adjusted his breathing until it matched the stillness around him. He had survived by understanding environments quickly, how men moved, how authority announced itself, how cruelty disguised itself as habit. The Bravi estate did none of those things openly. Power here did not need to declare itself. Lady Clarissa, he corrected himself. Not master, not owner, lady. The distinction mattered. He replayed the auction in his mind with ruthless efficiency, isolating the moment things had gone wrong. The sticks. He should not have taken both. One would have been enough, crude, defensive, forgettable. Two had been instinct, memory, a shape his body remembered even when his mind resisted it. Paired intent. He closed his eyes briefly. That was careless. He had seen her watching him from the carriage even before she stepped down, pale in the dust, unmistakably noble, sunlight catching in her hair and eyes like a provocation. Most nobles looked through slaves. She had looked at him, not with pity, with interest. That had unsettled him more than the guards. Tefan had learned early that strength invited punishment unless carefully rationed. Skill was worse. Skill demanded explanation, and explanations led to names. Names were dangerous. The door opened. He did not turn immediately. Footsteps entered the room, unhurried, deliberate. The weight of them suggested a man who had never needed to rush to be obeyed. "You may sit if you like." The voice was older, roughened slightly by age, but steady. Tefan turned. The man before him was built like a veteran of another kind of war, not the battlefield kind, but the long, grinding campaigns of negotiation and attrition. He stood straight despite his years, shoulders broad beneath well-cut cloth. His hair was a healthy gray, his beard full and neatly kept, framing a face weathered by time rather than neglect. But it was his eyes that held Tefan's attention, sharp, assessing, amused in the way of someone who enjoyed puzzles more than answers. "I am Raffaello Bravi," the man said. "My granddaughter has recently developed an interest in acquisitions." Tefan inclined his head, precisely enough. "I understand you descended another slave without instruction. That was either very foolish or very deliberate." Tefan did not answer. Raffaello's lips twitched. "Good. Silence suggests judgment." He gestured to a chair. Tefan sat, not stiffly, not casually, but with contained readiness. "My son will examine you tomorrow," Raffaello said. "He is kind. Do not mistake that for weakness." "I would not," Tefan replied. Raffaello studied him openly now, gaze moving not like a predator's, but like a craftsman's, measuring balance, structure, potential. "You are not what you were sold as," Raffaello said lightly. Tefan met his gaze. "No," he agreed. The old man laughed softly. "Honest, at least. That will serve you well here if you understand its limits." Raffaello turned toward the window, hands clasped behind his back. "Clarissa believes competence is the most efficient form of loyalty. I do not disagree, but understand this, my granddaughter does not collect curiosities. I am aware, Tefan said. Raffaello glanced back at him, eyes bright. Good, then you will also understand that if you endanger her position, I will remove you. It was not a threat. It was a statement of fact. Tefan inclined his head again. Understood. Raffaello nodded, satisfied. See that you remain useful. He left without waiting for dismissal. Tefan remained seated until the sound of footsteps faded completely. Only then did he allow himself to exhale. He had faced generals with less composure than that man. Later, in the narrow quarters assigned to him near the outer hall, Tefan lay on the pallet provided and stared at the ceiling. The space was clean, sparse, functional. He approved. He did not sleep. Instead, he thought of the way Clarissa Bravi had looked at him, not as possession, not as spectacle, but as something to be accounted for. Of her voice, precise and unyielding, of the way gold flared briefly in her eyes when the sun caught them, as if light itself deferred to her. That was dangerous. Attraction was a luxury, one he could not afford. And yet, he flexed his hands slowly, feeling the familiar ache of restrained strength, the body remembering what it was built for, even when denied its purpose. He would obey her rules. He would remain contained. But Tefan knew one thing with absolute clarity. The woman who had purchased him was not merely intelligent. She was formidable. And if he failed her, the consequences would be far more complicated than punishment.